Hello there, Kyle Pounds fans all over the world. In my previous video, I talked about the Roman kingdom because Kyle Pounds, he is currently reading a lot about this topic, and I think he said that he wanted to compare himself with Julius Caesar. You know, the Roman emperor, general, statesman. That is, Kyle Pounds, he already did some, comparing because he found out a distance in ancient Rome, and he wanted to use this distance on a map of his own whereabouts. That is in the city where he lives, and then he measured the distance to some place out in the boondocks, and it seemed to match a distance from ancient Rome to where a famous battle took place. So now he's riding around the area where he lives, and he, pretends that he's in ancient Rome, participating in a battle, things like that. As I said previously, he wanted to compare himself to the great Julius Caesar. Let me brief you a little about who he was. As I said, he was very famous. He was born in the year of 100 BC. Remember that. It's very important when you talk about Roman history, the history around the time of birth of Jesus. You have to know whether it was BC or AD. I said previously in my previous video that the Roman Empire, the birth of the Roman kingdom, that was in the year of 473. And I didn't say more than that. I forgot to say BC, before Christ. So, having that in mind, back to Julius Caesar, he was a general, a military persona. He was played a critical role in the demise of the Roman Republic and the rise of the Roman Empire. So he did many things. He introduced new social and governmental reforms in the Roman Republic, and he eventually became a dictator. So he was very powerful, and the more powerful he became, the closer he came to his death. I mean, he was threatened by the senators in the Roman Republic because he, took their power, a little bit of their power. So everybody wanted a piece of the cake there. You know what I'm saying? So they killed him. They stabbed him to death, or they ordered the assassination of Julius Caesar. So he was stabbed to death. I think it was in the year of 44 BC. So that's the story about this very influential person in history, Julius Caesar, general, statesman. And now I want to compare Julius Caesar with Kyle Pounds and see if they have anything in common. Maybe they have. First thing is ego. Julius Caesar had a very big ego. He was compulsively, he was obsessed, with power and fame. He conquered Gaul, which was a piece of today's Italy and France, and he did it out of profit because he turned the people of Gaul into slaves. So they worked for free for him, so he earned money out of that. Julius Caesar, he wanted to conquer a lot of land around the Mediterranean, so he had a sort of Napoleonic plans, just like Kyle Pounds. He wants to he also has a big ego. He wants to become famous. He has 3,000 YouTube videos out there, and he wants to be famous. So that's one thing they have in common. Second thing I would say is that Julius Caesar was a formidable orator. He could speak, he'd draw crowds when he, spoke, whether it was in a square, or in the Senate. So that also contributed to his fame. Same thing with Kyle Pounds. Kyle Pounds is also an orator, formidable orator. I mean, persuasive. He talks a lot. He makes hour-long videos on YouTube. People listen. He gets a lot of views. He has a lot of subscribers. So, Kyle Pounds, the orator. Julius Caesar, the orator. And you have, I thought about one thing. Julius Caesar had a big ego, as I said. And what did he do? He changed the calendar. So he added an extra month into the calendar, July. It comes from Julius, July, Caesar. So today is July 11th, 2015, and I can, that is because of Caesar, Julius Caesar. If it wasn't for him, we would have another month. So maybe Kyle Pounds, he could change the calendar so July becomes Kylai. Today is Kylai, the 11th, 2015. You know what I'm saying? If he could, he can't. He has no jurisdiction to change the calendar, even if he would like to. So that was ego and speaking ability. In depth. So, Julius Caesar, he wanted to be powerful and famous, so he had an employment unwaged, as he was responsible for the festivities and gladiator games in Rome. He was born in Rome, so that costed a lot of money, and he had to pay for it out of his own pocket. And so he became poor out of that. He wasted a lot of money on that, so he was in depth. Same thing with Kyle Pounds, because he said in an early video, maybe a couple of years ago, that he is in depth, or was in depth. He owes a guy 10 grand or something. Similarity number 3. Number 4 is that Julius Caesar was both a hero and a villain. He was a hero because he fought for Rome. He introduced, salaries, better pay, and benefits for the legionnaires. So the Roman army became more efficient, and improved in conditions in Rome. Of course, he made Rome wealthy because the people of Gaul were slaves, so they had to make a profit for the cause of Rome. And that's the bad thing, that he was very cruel, Julius Caesar. He fought with his legionnaires in Gaul. He enslaved the people of Gaul, and he killed a lot of them. And also he crucified pirates that tried to, I think they kidnapped him, and they demanded a ransom for him, and they paid the people of Julius Caesar and his men, they paid the ransom, so he would let them go, and then they returned the Julius Caesar and his army returned, and they looked for the pirates, and they found them, and they crucified them. It's a very cruel death, to die on a cross. So that was bad. And Kyle Pounds also has good and bad characteristics. He's a good guy and a bad guy. He's a good guy because he teaches us about history. He's a bad guy in the sense that he advocates medical marijuana. So people watch his videos and then they try marijuana and they become addicts. So that's the bad thing. So, yeah, both hero and villain. That was number 4. And number 5 is that Julius Caesar was born in Rome. He came from an aristocratic family. And so does Kyle Pounds. He's not born in Rome, but in another city, but he came from oil tycoons, a family of oil tycoons. So they are, both Julius Caesar and Kyle Pounds come from a very prominent background, very wealthy families both. Although they say that Caesar family was not wealthy, but they were aristocrats or famous in Rome. No similarities between Julius Caesar. Are there things that they don't have in common? Julius Caesar was an alpha male. He seduced a lot of women, both singles and married women, and he had STDs. So when he was married and divorced several times. So that is something that Kyle Pounds and Julius Caesar don't share, because Kyle Pounds is not exactly an alpha male, because he doesn't meet women that much. He sits at home on his couch, makes videos, writes on his timeline. And Julius Caesar was also very cruel. He chopped off the hands of the people of Gaul, and as I said, crucified the pirates. So in Kyle Pounds, I don't think he's that cruel. He does not chop off hands of people. If he would go to jail, death row. So Julius Caesar, he came, he saw, and he conquered. And Kyle Pounds, he came to YouTube, he saw YouTube, and he conquered YouTube. So we will see about Kyle Pounds' timeline, his website. Will he conquer internet with his YouTube videos? Will he become the Julius Caesar of cyberspace? We'll see about that.